Hi, Christine.
Hi, Cheryl. How are you doing?
Good. It's so nice having you on here again.
Thank you for having me again. This is really special.
Yeah, and we were just talking that it's
Yeah,
been 2 years since you
yeah,
have been on my podcast. You were one of the first
yeah.
people
Two, ye-
to
yeah, Valentine's Day 2 years ago. Yeah,
Valentine's Day 2 years ago, and I wanted you to come on again to show your progress because this has been a dream of yours to start this nonprofit, Twice the Kindness. And I want you to remind our audience again who are new about what this is and what sparked it. And I think it's a beautiful theme. That's why we talk about this around Valentine's Day. I have my red candle too. You could see
yay.
this on my YouTube channel as well. And my heart sweater. I have hearts all over my sweater.
Kindness hearts. Yes, I got hearts on my nails. Yes.
And your pretty red flower, which is your
Yeah,
signature in your hair.
my flowers. Yes, most of them are red, but I do have like some pink and white and purple. I have a couple of blue ones. Yes, and then of course, us soul sisters like to wear a little halo of flowers ever
Yeah.
since we were teenagers. Flowers, flowers, flowers.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
flowers. So, yeah, tell us a little bit more about that, and then we'll go into um, the challenges you've faced and the obstacles you've overcome in the past 2 years and how far you've come.
Yeah, so the vision came on my heart, of course, in 2019. The vision came on my heart in 2019 when I was with my patient. And of course, I just knew that I really wanted to be able to help schools raise money, and I wanted and organizations, teams. Eventually, I would love to help the Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, dance teams, bands, orchestras, choirs. I wanted to be able to help them raise money, and I wanted to be able to help give back to the community together. Of course, being a mom of six, I have helped, be the room mom. I've helped on the booster teams. And so I knew that there was a big need to raise money. And I also knew there was a need as a caregiver to be able to help the community. And so since we were out helping the homeless as a family, and of course, since I had gone into nursing homes and assisted living homes to do painting and dancing and singing, it just that inspiration was just kind of rumbling and rumbling, and then the vision of like, hey, I can put the two together came on my heart that April. And so little by little, I do want to thank, there is a women's group, Experience Connections, on Facebook, and one of my coworkers from the Cheesecake Factory here in Alpharetta, Georgia. She was part of that women's group, and I kept watching. And so that was my little taste. That September of 2019, I went to this women's business meeting, and I talked about my painting, and I also talked about Twice the Kindness. Now, I didn't have a website yet. I had the concept of the idea. And so then little by little, they gave me some tips and advice of like what to try and do. And so I tried to make my own website, and I was definitely struggling big time because I'm not, technological savvy, technology savvy,
Yeah.
uh, is not my forte, but I am a big learner. And so I can usually have someone show me something and then I can grow from there. But I wanted to put my heart and my time, of course, hands on in the community. But I needed a way to have a platform so people understood what the vision was and what kind of fundraising we were doing. So then I started looking into becoming an actual nonprofit. Um, and I realized because I would do fundraising and would be giving money back to schools and teams and sport teams and groups like that, and be giving a gift to the community recipients, it was going to be a little bit tricky, fine line for a nonprofit, but I knew that I could help nonprofits. And so I am a charitable fundraising group, but not a 501c3. I help give back to nonprofits. So, like our homeless shelters, our cancer centers, our children's hospitals, they are all nonprofits that we give to. And so, like, say you bought a gift from Amazon, or you say you bought a gift from a store, and then you were giving it to that nonprofit. If you're a big business and you spent thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars, you would be able to have that receipt showing what you purchased for this nonprofit group. And so the nonprofit groups, they give an in-kind letter of gifts that they receive. And I am like the store that they would purchase, friends and family would purchase through to be able to give to the nonprofits.
Mm.
And so since you and I last spoke, I originally started with my trying to get just a generic side of what Twice the Kindness was about. And then I also, with my tech guy, got a site called, Gifts for Cancer Patients and Hospital Patients. And that February was my first run of being able to give gifts to the Cancer Center here in Georgia. And I knew that I also wanted to help the homeless. And so I kept calling homeless shelters to find out what kind of services we could give as a group without having to have a big orientation. Because when I was able to orchestrate outreaches in Atlanta, I was just reaching out to friends, and we would pick a parking lot or a space under the bridge to be able to serve. And we would have trays of cornbread that we would make and big pots of chili and big pots of hot chocolate. And when the laws changed in 2017, I knew then when I called homeless shelters, there was a lot of orientation that would usually have to be done. And when I have this kind of setup, we weren't necessarily going to have that time to do an orientation. We more so wanted to be able to help and maybe send in a little bit of paperwork if needed, but have a date set that we could come help serve. And in calling the homeless shelters, I did find out that one right close to home, the Must Ministries Hope House, was just opening in 2022, the same year you and I talked. And it was like that vision and that thought, like there's got to be a homeless shelter where we can help. And they needed help right away. They were new. They are a program that actually is like a 30-day program. And homeless men, women, and families, they apply. And that particular program helps them get back on their feet, helps them find housing, helps them, fill out paperwork, resumes. And if they need an extension, they usually can apply for an extension if they've been actually actively trying, especially, the women and children in there that have the families. And they need meals. They do 2 breakfasts. They do 1 lunch and 1 dinner, 365 days a year. And so I knew that this would be a great outreach to be able to help. And it was right here in our community. And so then I had, spoke with Chick-fil-A and said, is there anything that you could do? And the marketing manager and I were able to come up with a program together so that I could serve Chick-fil-A breakfast or Chick-fil-A lunch/dinner boxes and be able to have it priced right so that the schools could run it and they could still receive money like they would if they sold popcorn or chocolate. They're purchasing a meal for their homeless, and then money would go back of that package price to the school, helping them raise money. And now we have the meals to serve at the Hope House for the homeless as well. And so because they have such a high demand, and then, Twice the Kindness is still growing, they need meals all the time. And just like our children don't get sick of Chick-fil-A or, like in California, In-N-Out Burger or Wiener Schnitzel, that kind of stuff. The same thing. Chick-fil-A is very, very popular here in Georgia, especially where it originated. And my kids could eat Chick-fil-A like 4 times a month and still not sick of it. And so I knew even if I had 4 events where we were serving Chick-fil-A in a 30-day period, they get so excited there at the Hope House when we get to bring Chick-fil-A in, and that they get seconds. Usually there's more than enough that we can give more, and they love that. A quick side note, in December when I served breakfast, one of my friends who also was a caregiver with me, her mom works at a church where they wash the clothes for the homeless.
Wow.
And they Must Ministries. And so the day that we served breakfast, the Chick-fil-A breakfast, a couple of the ladies were with her mom with that church group to wash clothes, and they were sharing how excited they were that they got to have Chick-fil-A chicken biscuits that day. And like an affirmation of like, yes, you're doing the right thing, like keep it going, this is what it was all about, and this is what the vision is about. And so that's one portion. And so that's been a real exciting way to continue to grow. And then the vision behind that I've been helping now another cancer center. We help WorldStar, we've helped Northside Cancer Center. And being that my business license is here in Georgia, we're able to give to the hospitals and the homeless shelters here, but I could have family and friends from across the US, from California, Chicago, Rhode Island, Florida, to be able to help purchase packages as well. And then we're giving them here. So it's like this big group effort and it didn't matter that it came from out of state, that we are still spreading kindness and having that energy of love and hope and joy to spread across the US. And that is like a dream come true. And it's like that inspiration of the next portion of growth that I want to do with the business. So I'm
And
very,
it's so exciting because I remember the day we were standing in line. I think we were at some amusement park with the kids, and you were talking about this to me and our other friend Ponta,
mm-hmm.
and how this was your vision. And you at the time were a caregiver. You've been a caregiver for like 20 years, right?
Yeah, 17, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And uh, I saw that sparkle in your eyes, and I was like, oh, she's going to make it happen. She's going to make
Yes.
it happen. And look how in the span of 2 years,
Well,
right?
yeah,
Over 2 years.
years you and I did the podcast, and I got my LLC in 2021. And then in 2000, beginning of 2022, or at the end of 2021 as well, I got my business license. And putting those together and already having that one little website made along with the informational side of what Twice the Kindness was formed so that I could have a way to take orders and a way to, if I had more than one fundraiser going on, so that each school knew, okay, and the Who Sent You bar on the checkout page, they were able to click, oh, I'm from Sprayberry Choirs, or I'm from Kincaid, or I'm from the Caring Project. And so that way we knew who the money went back to for the fundraising portion. And then we were able to have all the orders and make a report for them of all the orders that were made on their behalf as well. So yeah, so 2022 is when I actually got to start running the fundraisers. 2021, I got my LLC and business license. And I want to encourage anybody who has a vision and an intention and goal on their heart. Like, I would sometimes get down on myself that it was taking so long, like from 2019 to 2021, just to get that LLC. And of course, I was still working close to full time as a caregiver, and of course, a mom of six in a blended family. So I don't always have all six children all at one time, but there are definite months where we do. And so I would get down on myself sometimes that it was taking longer than because when you see something and you can feel it and you can taste it and you can see it, you want it to happen like right now.
Right
But
now, right.
then being able to have that vision and not get bummed out that, this took a little bit longer because I still needed to interview, you know, my tech guy, and I needed to interview other people that could have been my technology person to help build the websites. And because there's multi parts to this kind of fundraiser, I also needed somebody who kind of could understand my vision because it was more unique than other fundraisers that are happening right now. And when I would explain to people that it's like, instead of buying popcorn or chocolates, you're buying a gift for somebody in the community, because as parents or relatives of our students in our schools, we want to support their school or support their program. We don't necessarily always want the chocolate or the cheesecake or the popcorn. We're doing it to support them. And so there's so many loving and giving hearts in the world. So why not then have a gift that we can purchase that we know we're doing something good and helping a great cause and still able to raise some money as well. So yes, and so that discouragement would come, but I would say, look, you look at these steps. It's like taking a long walk. You look back and you say, oh my gosh, look at how far I've come. Look at
Yeah.
all these. Yeah.
I think it's intimidating at first when you're going from one career and going
Yeah.
into something else, especially when it's the stream of yours.
Yeah.
And you have this vision, but then there
Yeah.
are all these steps you have to take and action you have to take. And with
Yes.
me as well, like the whole technology thing, when I first started as an artist, was so overwhelming, like social media and getting a website started and um, all
Yes.
those things. It was so overwhelming. But once I started to just do one thing at a time, like, okay, well, today I'm going to spend a few hours on my website, and then tomorrow I'm going to post on social media or, promote myself there, or reach out to this one person. And you just slowly start taking those steps and
Yes.
it
That
starts
you take another
building.
step. Yes. And then you're like, oh my gosh, look at these steps. They've come together. Yeah. And
And
so
Yeah.
Also the identity, like, like you mentioned, changing careers. So like as a caregiver, that was an absolute calling on my heart. And I have worked with the most loving families who are part of me and will always be a part of me. Many of them now are angels around me, their parents. And so I did have my very last patient. She moved back to Alabama, and I just got to see her after 9 months of not seeing her just last month. And that was, or last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, but just recent. And that was really special. But the identity of me as a caregiver, and I will always be a caregiver at heart, but then to move into the role as complete business owner and having that vision overlap as I was a caregiver, I have to say last year was one of those years where when she moved to Alabama, it felt like a death to me because I wasn't going to see her for an unknown amount of time. And I didn't know if she would pass before I did see her. And I did know that, I had that special bond with her as well. And so then trying to then fully embody the identity of complete business owner now, it was like this little bit of a struggle of grieving still, and then fully accepting and still knowing like and that it was okay to let that calling not go, but that chapter was those chapters. And now this chapter, I'm supposed to carry on some of those same things I did with my patients. Now I'll get to do them during the fundraisers, and so that's one portion where I do look forward to being able to help more in nursing homes and assisted living homes again, and having groups, especially of teenagers and kids, come with me and do dances and painting as part of a fundraiser for the school, integrate some dances with the senior community, especially with the high schools, are things that I'm building with the business as well. And I look forward to having that time with the seniors, our senior community, because I had so many years with my patients. And so that portion I'm excited to integrate with Twice the Kindness. And it's not there yet, but just like when I hadn't served the homeless in a facility at that point yet, as part of Twice the Kindness, when I did, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm here. It's like you could see it, taste it, touch it, and you're like, it's here. And so I still can see us having those dances with high schools and helping our senior community and bringing our kids together. I can see us dancing with, all of these wonderful seniors at the assisted living home and nursing home, like I did just as a volunteer thing, but now as a fundraiser. I just am so excited and I can't wait for it, but I can, but I can't, so I know it's coming, and it's just like, okay, it keeps you up at night sometimes because you're like, okay, here's the next step. And you don't know the how. You still just one question after another question. Let's try this. Okay, no, we can't do that. That didn't work. So kind of like a painting where you're putting the colors out, and sometimes it's looking like the vision you had in your head, and sometimes you're going, no, I didn't really want it to look like that. And so you may put some white paint over it and say, let's try this a little bit differently. And yay, you know what? I wasn't going to put those colors, but that looks amazing. And this really is bringing so much more of a vibrant painting than I could have even imagined, So
I
that's what, yeah.
That was a beautiful analogy, especially about envisioning
Yes.
the importance of not only taking action, but envisioning what
Yes.
your dream life or career, whatever it is, will look like.
Yes. Like
And
I see myself dancing with them. I see
seeing
my
yourself dancing, yeah, with them.
laughing with them. I see myself doing like showing the teenagers, okay, now let's have them do this. Okay, now let's have them do that, and laughing and hugging, and yes. Yeah.
And also, it's beautiful how you are incorporating your creative spirit, that aspect of yourself in your work, which makes it even more joyful and
I
bring so much happiness to you, because there's nothing like doing what you truly love and showing people that part of yourself and teaching them, or doing whatever it is that you enjoy with them.
yes.
It's a different energy.
Yes. And having been with, different patients, especially with dementia and Alzheimer's, music, the art of music and the art of painting and the art of movement, dance movement. It really helps the brain, and there's joy in that. And it makes them smile and it brings happiness to their soul. Even if their brains are confused, they're feeling happy in that moment. And that there's nothing to just like to take over that feeling. It's just really, really special. And I look forward to being able to do more of that with bigger groups, So I reminded myself of that as I was transitioning out of being a full-time caregiver to now full-time business owner. And you want to run back to that comfort zone of like, as a caregiver, I made an hourly wage and I didn't ever feel comfortable charging more than a certain amount. And after so many years experience, most jobs you're going to make more and build more and have a savings and all of that. Well, as a caregiver, it was such a calling, but there was like a plateau that I was pretty much at the same level I was 15 years ago. So, and I didn't feel right charging families more than that because a lot of my patients, they're on fixed income, and I knew I was making more than the CNAs in nursing homes and assisted living homes. And that's a whole other story of a big cause that we can help and change and reform. But I definitely knew that that was an element of it. And so when this vision was put on my heart, I'm like, I can still help them then in this way. And the way I get paid for my family income is totally different now as a business owner. So yes, a different structure. And one I didn't think of years ago, Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And because we're friends and we've been friends since high school, which was only 10 years ago.
Only 10 years. Yes. Oh, I have an 18-year-old. I feel like I was 10 years ago.
I
Yes.
know. But
Yes.
I've seen you go through some challenges and obstacles recently. Your website got hacked, and mine has before too. So I completely understood what you were going through.
Yeah, yours was hacked just a couple months ago too. And I was like,
Yeah.
I
And
felt
it's
so,
shocking,
yes, devastating.
devastating. And you're just like, oh my gosh, now what do I do? And again, you're not that techie person. And so you rely on your website person, and when they don't have everything together, you're like, okay, now what? And you go into this moment of panic and all these different emotions. Can you guide us through that? So we can learn from this.
Yes. So it was my birthday last Thursday, and I had reached out to another group about fundraising. And so I went ahead in case they wanted to do the fundraiser. I put their name in the list of who sent you. And when I tried to add them, like I normally do through the site, it just went blank. And I said, okay, this doesn't happen. So I tried it again. And I said, well, maybe it's just, just this particular website of mine that's acting up. So I go to another website and I try to put in who sent you, and it went blank. So I let my tech guy know. And so when he went to look in and investigate behind the scenes in the coding part, he realized every business that was under his publishing was hacked,
Oh,
and all the websites. So none of our credit card processing, because that's separate, Stripe, Square, PayPal, those are all separate. Praise God that those are like quadruple protected. And that's what stores any credit card payment that's made online. That's all through Stripe or all through Square, or all through PayPal. So that's super protected. But anything art wise that we've created on our sites, all of that creation was gone, like gone. So he thought maybe he could restore it. And he was hopeful of that on my birthday. And then the next day when we spoke, he said we would have to build everything again from scratch. And when he told me, I was just like, because, again, when I met him, I also met him in September of 2021 as well. And he was one of the people that when I interviewed him, he understood my vision and he was able to help me get those pieces put together, and then understood even how we would be able to change it and grow in the future as the business grew. And so I was very happy that he understood that behind the scene knowledge and knew like how to take things apart and figure out, okay, this is how it was put together. So I was very happy with that. But, he was helping other business owners, and he was also, he's a dad, and he has a wife who has her business as well, and he has his own business. And so it was slow moving, and he was teaching me along the way on how to do some of the things on my website. So if he wasn't available, then I could start to add things, and then he would help me with the next site, and then get it to a place where I could add things and get it to another place for another site. So all of these sites and the main site, all of that took like a year to build was gone, because the first little site and the landing page, of course, happened in the beginning of 2022, and that was functioning. But then that rest of that year of 2022, we kept adding to it. And so I was just like, are you kidding me? But he and I also had this other portion of what will be the bread and butter of Twice the Kindness, and it is part of a fundraising that is in high demand, especially across the US. And it's a way that it's going to be able to help me allow schools to be able to keep more money and still be able to give back to the community together. He had that little portion of that site formed, and that's the only thing that did not get touched. And so I feel like that maybe was God's way of saying, like, this is where your tech person needs, Larry, the tech guy, needs to be able to focus on this site of yours. These other things, yes, I'm devastated that everything we did that took over a year to build is gone. I just, I had a good cry. I called you. I was crying. I called my mom. I was crying. I was devastated. But I just had this part like, okay, I felt like I was smashed to the ground. I'm like, I'm going to get back up. Whoever hacked, I don't know why they would be so mean, because they didn't get any financial information, anything like that. They literally were doing it just to be able to take away that possibility to promote business, So, and you don't get to know who the hackers are. It's just like if somebody your bike when you're in the store and they broke into the lock and took the bike, you're not going to know who stole it most of the time. And I felt robbed. I felt so sad, so devastated. But and within that, I still felt hopeful and like, no. This is not going to stop. They can't take away all of these cancer centers that I've talked to and work with. They can't take away the homeless shelter and the other personnel that I meet with and talk with, and the schools and the teams and the beautiful videos I have. No, and the pictures and all of that, they can't take that away. And I said, I'm going to piece it back together. And I asked Larry, hey, can you focus on what didn't get destroyed? I'll focus on making a free website. And now I'm better at it than I was 2.5 years ago, trying to make my first website. And I actually had signed up for Wix back in 2019, trying to make something when I first had the thought come to my mind. But I didn't know anything of what I was doing. And so now I have pictures, and I have the video, and I have the things that I've already now been doing for 2 years. So yesterday I said, you know what, I'm going to figure this out. And I have a Square account, and I have this fundraiser that I've already, like, they need meals on Valentine's Day for the homeless. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get these packages ordered, and we are still going to serve the homeless on Valentine's Day, and we're still going to bring smiles. And whoever hacked our accounts is not going to keep us down.
Win.
Nope, they're not. They don't. Kindness wins. Kindness wins.
Have that power, yes, and kindness wins. Kindness and love always wins.
It does.
And I was so impressed because I had told you or reminded you about the Wix Sunday, and then last night you're like, here it is, and I was like, yes. And it looked better, in my opinion, than your previous website.
The one thing I loved about the previous website is that it had buttons that would take you to all the other sites that I had, right? So it would take you to the gifts for cancer patients. It was more detailed. But I also knew, even before I was hacked, eventually I would have to change the format of those, because I didn't want my customers to have to go into the Who Sent You box, because especially once this gets rolling and picking up a big pace, you don't want this long list of people to have to go in and look for their school from. You want them to already have a site that's dedicated to them. So I wanted it coded to where the URL, they each have their own URL. The website itself will look the same when they look, except in their URL. After the website name will be the name of their group or their organization or their school. And so all orders will just fall under that URL. And I knew I would need to format it like that eventually. But I was like, well, I can do fundraisers with these sites and then format that one and have one running while I'm still working on more. And then when they destroyed everything, I was like, okay, well, I do have a fundraiser going right now. And what am I going to do? And so I went to my Square account and I was like, okay, I have my Square account and everybody knows Square is quadruple protected. And so I can get those orders and be able to have a box explaining what is being ordered and where it's going. And then I figured out they even have like a space. I could do 250 of those if needed. And so I was like, okay, like I can help 250 organizations and have 250 fundraisers going on at one time. And so great. This is wonderful. Hyperlink it into just a regular free website so that the hyperlink will lead right to what needs to be purchased for that fundraiser and have it all organized so that we know who gets what and how much back, so that was wonderful that it organized it that way too, so that I am, better able to make a report of all money raised as well. So
Nice.
I was like, okay. And so all hope was not lost. And I felt like you try. And I didn't know any of this yesterday in the morning, of course. And then you push this button, push that button. You're like, oh, well, let me try this. Well, let me try this. And,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, this works.
Yeah. Yeah. And you figure it
Yes,
out. It's like the life coach Marie Forleo, who I love. She always says everything is figure outable.
it
And
is.
it is.
And it is. Or like the quote too, like Jim Fortin says, your resources may run out, but resourcefulness is infinite.
It's in.
We
Yeah.
infinitely. And once I understood that, like that was definitely something I learned from him. I was like, wow, yes, I am definitely infinitely resourceful. And, we can trap ourselves in our own minds and think, oh my gosh, I'm stuck here. There's no way out because again, we don't know how, the how. And when we don't know the how, we like let that stop us from taking the next step sometimes.
Right.
In that next step that we get to start to discover what the how is, so, and that sometimes there's even way more out there than, or not even sometimes, most of the time, there's way more out there for us than we could even imagine. So
I
it was
love
like
that.
poured my painting like as if I had like oil paints on a painting and they just went, boom, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
but well, I still have this paint here and I still have me here and I still have my hands and I still can see. And you know what? I'm not going to let this stop me. And I thought about you and I thought about Jo Marie, who is a wonderful artist that I love so much, who's also done so much with the elderly too. And just both of your inspiration, especially how both of you use so many symbols in your paintings and what those symbols mean, whether like it's, a painting that you're doing for somebody that's commissioned you, or it's just something on your heart. So many symbols mean so much in your paintings and in Jo Marie's paintings. And that's kind of like what Twice the Kindness is. There's all these elements of it, and they each have a meaning to me and are connected to all the experiences of my life up to this point. And now I'm able to take those parts and like, this is a symbol of that, and this is a symbol of this. And so,
I love that. It's amazing to see how much more resilient we become
yes,
through the
yeah,
process and how we fall, we get back up, we learn from it,
we
and
do.
we become stronger. And we learn how to put a website together, which we never thought we
Yes.
would be able to do within 24 hours.
Oh, it's like, hey, we'll pull this together, pull that together. And, I know back in 2019, I was like, oh my gosh, well, they're going to see Wix in the name, or with Square, they're going to see Square in the name if I, haven't set up my own domain stuff. And of course, I've set my own domain up, but my own domain was set up with, Larry the Tech Guy, and it's still under him. And we're still building another site with Twice the Kindness, through that portion. And then there's other domains linked to my name that I have in the works as well to pull it all together. And yes, it was just, nope, we're not going to let that pull us down. We may not know the how. And I can figure out how to build a website. And look, ta-da! And
Ta-da!
yes, it made me really think about a painting again. Like, well, I may not know how to paint this, but hey, let me try this. Well, let me try that. And and again, not getting down on yourself. If does this look too amateur? Does this look silly? Or hey, is this gap gonna like deter it? And you just go with it and try it and see. And it just really shows that we are human. And even from 2 years ago, trying out, hey, I'm going to have these items that we're going to give away as gifts. And then, you know what? I found that the patients, especially cancer patients, really love those soft blankets like I love.
Mm.
And the chapsticks. Chapsticks were needed across the board with cancer patients, hospital patients, children's hospital patients, and the homeless. When we did serve in December, I had some of our chapsticks that we had purchased as well. And there's a message on there: from our hearts to yours, never give up. And I will also send that link with you as well, because that's something that's needed again for the homeless, for the cancer patients, for the children's hospital patients. And I got to go to each table after serving and say, here's a chapstick, and there's a message on here from us. From our hearts to yours, please never give up. And I had at least 7 of them say, nope, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. And here was an example where I got knocked down too. And no, I'm not giving up, because that person that I'm going to be able to be with this big group of all of these loving and kind hearts, they need us. They need our energy. They need that encouragement and that hope and that gentleness. Like, with all that's going on in the world, we want to definitely keep focusing on the joy, the love, the kindness that each of us have in us. And if we are having a down moment, it feels really, really good to shift our mood and our thoughts when we are thinking about, okay, what else can I do to help someone else in this moment? Because it helps you then to distract yourself in some way, yes. But then in doing that, you change your energy, and then that energy shift helps you figure out your own issues that you may be working through.
And you may
So,
think that little chapstick you're giving out is it's just a chapstick, but it has those special words on there, that message. And every time they bring it out, they see it, and
yes.
it's a reminder for them to not give up, to keep having hope, and that there are
Yeah.
kind people out there like yourself and many more
Anymore.
that are there for them, that they don't feel alone. And like you said, I feel like especially right now, there's so much going on in the world, and there's so much division and hate and um, darkness, that we need to do more of these things to bring more of that love and the kindness and the goodness. And I'm so proud of you for all the light you're bringing into the world and everything that you've accomplished thus far. I mean, within this short span of time. And I feel like it's inspiring, and people are going to hear this, see this, and get that spark within themselves, I'm sure, and to just
Oh,
help
want them to,
someone.
yes, yes, I definitely, it all is a group effort though. And honestly, you are obviously one of my best friends, and the support that I have of you, Ponta, my mom, my dad, my sisters, my friend, like big group of friends, like that love and that support, it's that push to keep you going. And in moments like Friday, where I was completely devastated, it means a world of difference to have someone like you who is inspiring and encouraging and comforting, so that that message of kindness and love still can be shared as a group. It's a collective effort, and so we want to keep adding that to that collective of more kindness, more love, and it stems from having all of these kind souls together. So thank you
Thank,
too.
thank
Yeah,
you. And
yeah,
it reminds me of, I saw a movie called Nyad. I don't know if you've heard of that
oh,
movie. It's of
yeah.
this swimmer. She swam at the age of 60 from Cuba to the Key
Uh,
West. And
wow.
it took her several attempts, and she never gave up. But the last thing, the first, one of the things she said was, it took a team. It
It
wasn't
does.
just me.
It's not just
It
us. Yeah.
took a team to get through this. And I thank that team of mine and my very good friend who was her coach. And I just thought that was so beautiful, because so many times when you see people who become successful, whatever it is, they don't see everything else, or even just the failures. You just see the end result.
Yes. I don't see. Yeah. Right.
You don't
Right.
see like the
Yes.
people that were behind them, encouraging them, and then all the failures and all the setbacks. And everything that they went through, you don't see, but you see, oh wow, look at them. Look how good they're doing.
Yes. I mean, the simple thing of being on camera with the light being, you have been such an encouragement because as much as I love to dance and I'm a people person, it is so strange to still see myself on camera. And I am, quite silly and animated, as you know, it can be really goofy. And then I'll get like where I can see myself to this, like, oh my gosh, it feels so strange. And,
Yeah.
you know, you've been encouraging so much of like, hey, just get out there because okay, what's gonna happen? What's the worst thing? Oh my gosh, look at that girl. She looks so funny. Look at her nipples. Like it then what am I gonna let that stop me from sharing this calling and what's on my like we have all of these resources again, be resourceful or all this social media and YouTube. I mean, we get to help share with the world and spread the light. And so then we're gonna let fear like stop it, or
Stop it.
somebody some Sally out and sorry if your name is Sally, like out in the bleachers making fun of us, well, when are we gonna let that stop us? Like,
Yeah.
oh, no, we are here for a purpose and yes, and so yeah, I
And I
think
remember
you
I always talk about how I was so very quiet. And I always tell people that, but you knew me when I was that very quiet girl. And
I
I'm
got to
on
know
camera here now talking.
yes. Yeah, the quiet side of Cheryl, and then you better watch out because she may be smaller than us, but she will kick your boobs. Yes, your beep. Go Cheryl, go Cheryl. You go ahead to the door. We'll go hide. Cheryl's gonna go after you. And for of us who don't really know our sizes because camera only shows so much, but yes, you're like 5 foot, and I'm just a little bit above 5'2", almost 5'3", and Pond is what 5'4". And we sent you the most petite one out of the bunch to protect us one time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
They're just quiet, like I'm not gonna say anything, and here, you're encouraging me to still get like show yourself on camera. Don't be embarrassed. So
It's okay. Yeah. You get used to it and it becomes like not a big deal anymore. Um, oh, that's funny. So tell our creative spirits, like, do you have any words of wisdom in this? I mean, you gave so much during this interview, like, but are there any little bits of wisdom you could give, some nuggets of since the last time we talked?
yes, definitely. I 100% believe in listening to your intuition. If something's right, pause for a minute. Like really take time to pause because as excited as I have been all aspects of developing this business, there has been some parts of it that just did not feel in alignment with the big vision and my heart, right? And so in those moments, I took time to pause and don't get down on yourself if you need to pause. Whether that pause is because something didn't feel in alignment and didn't feel right, or because other things were happening in life, and just don't let it keep you there and really take time and quiet time in your space to discern, okay, why am I not feeling great with this, right? So like with timing, I knew like if we're having a Christmas fundraiser, I was trying to rush and get information out to schools. Well, a lot of schools had already picked what their fundraisers were going to be. And I thought, well, I still need to push it and push it. Well, it was like, no, we just need to pause right now. Let's readjust some of these items. This is actually going to be for next year's holiday season.
Mm.
You thought it was going to be for this holiday season. No, this really was going to be for next holiday season, and to let you know what's going to be in a need and a way to present it where schools understand this is a helpful way to just add on to what we are already doing, right? And so like that urgency, and sometimes it didn't feel in alignment with what the vision was, and so I paused and then I asked myself, why am I feeling this way? And then I realized because it was for the next year's holiday season, right? And so same thing with winter, of course, it's February, and I wanted to do a hat, glove, and sock drive, and it just right at this moment it just wasn't the timing. And then with what happened on Friday, of course, good thing I did not have that portion going. I would have still been resourceful to figure it out. But the timing just didn't feel right. And so listening to your intuition and understanding, sometimes that means we need to pause, readjust. And really being a business owner, there's a lot of readjustments along the way. And don't
Oh,
get down
yes.
on yourself for that. How we figure out, hey, this works. Hey, this didn't work. Hey, this does work. And I ask so many people so many questions, and don't ever feel silly asking questions along the way, because that's also how we learn.
Yes.
And don't feel silly watching YouTube videos again and again, trying to figure out how to do a hyperlink or something as well, because it's a really good tool to be able to use. And I'm so grateful that there's so much out there, especially on YouTube, to learn from. Yes. And to also, not let remarks of others to stop you, because, you know, I am a very loving, giving person, and I'm not a confrontational person. And in some of these groups, there has been some energies of like, I don't know if it was just disagreement or unsureness about who I am, but it felt like some judgment from some other people that I was doing fundraising with. And I had to just say, that's not my energy, that's their energy. If they're sending something some way, and I know them and I know what this calling is about, and I'm not going to let that stop me from going to the next school and the next team and the next orchestra and the next band, because there's different personalities, different PTA groups, different parent groups, and it we all are different. We all are going through different things. We're all looking through different lenses. And so they may have some judgment towards my fundraiser. And that's okay. They're entitled to their thoughts and feelings, but I can't let that stop. And so I really encourage others, don't let the thoughts of others stop you from your calling and your vision and what's been put on your heart.
100%.
Because if I would have just stopped in my tracks, like, oh my gosh, they're being rude or they're not being nice. Well, they're looking through a set of lenses that I don't have. And so
Right.
then love their way and know that it's not for them right now, and things will shift. And even with schools and organizations, PTA leaders change and booster team members change. And so this energy shifts. And so what one school didn't need before, you go back and you try again. It's the same thing with businesses. Like if this doctor wasn't right for you, you're maybe going to go to another doctor. There's plenty for everybody first of all, too. Like I used to think, oh my gosh, like, well, there's this fundraising and that fundraising. What if, well, no, there's no pie in the sky. There's only a certain amount. No, there's unlimited, right?
Yeah.
And off of that,
Abundance.
abundance. And if we let people stop us, then we're only stopping ourselves. We're letting them so push through that, and then know that there's lots of people that need you, and lots of people that want your voice, and lots of people that want your touch.
Yes.
And if you let those people stop you, then you're stopping all those people from having you that really needed that energy and needed to connect with you.
Yes, I agree. And when you were
So
talking
that's been a
earlier,
big uh
when you were talking earlier about like symbolism and how me and another artist, Joan Marie, put a lot of symbolism in our artwork, when you're
yeah,
talking about that, the vision that came into my mind was a tree and how we need to be rooted and we need to be
yes,
grounded and,
yes,
you know, stand
yes,
straight, be confident, and not let anyone, sway us or make us feel
yes, right,
different
yeah, like
because of their feelings.
yeah.
And so that's the first vision that came into my mind. And I think that's important.
Plenty of oxygen for all these branches and
Yeah.
leaves. And there's plenty. Like, if, you think of the Redondo Beach Pier, there's an ice cream shop here and a gelato shop here, and then a churro shop with ice cream here. And you walk across the pier, and then they have all this food, but they also have soft serve ice cream. And guess what? In any given season, those all will have people waiting to order from them, because that particular touch that particular ice cream shop had was special to those particular people. And there's plenty for everyone. And I think we are raised in a society also to think, oh my gosh, if I'm starting this business, well, I better get to this idea fast because somebody's going to go steal the idea. And no, it's unlimited, it's abundance. And there's just like our oxygen that we breathe. And for that tree, there's plenty of oxygen for everyone.
Yeah.
And as a business owner, that's another thing, is you'll run into like that energy of meeting certain people, you'll feel that, and you're like, wait, like there's no competition here. Like, hey, there's plenty, and we all have our touch, and yes, and we're
And
all special. Needed, I'm needed, and you're important and needed in this world. Yes,
yeah, and I
yeah,
think you having that awareness, that's what's important. And you're, bringing that awareness to people who might doubt themselves if someone tells them, hey, what are you doing? Like, really? Like, is this worth your time? Or I don't know about this. Do you really think you should do this? Or that doesn't look like a good business plan. You just let it go and you keep
yes. Like,
going.
dude, like you put the colors on your canvas that you want. You get to paint.
Yeah.
You know what? Who cares if Joe Schmo over here thinks this looks pretty silly? If it looks beautiful and wonderful to you, and it feels wonderful and beautiful to you, like embrace that and feel that, because there's going to be a lot of other people who are going to see it just like you. I'm like, that is so beautiful, and that is amazing. Let's do more of this together.
That's,
Yes,
yeah. And
yes,
it's funny because in the Creative Spirits group, I remember posting a quote um, on Facebook, and it was, if you don't like my painting, make your own effing,
that's right.
make your own
Grown
effing painting.
right. Because I'm sticking with mine and I like mine. And if you don't like it, that's but I have this other big group of people here that likes to be silly, who likes to be kind, who likes to come make people smile and be, bring joy and happiness, love. And you know what? We're going to keep trying to push that peace and love and kindness across the world.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like
So
that. Um,
February 14th is our next
yes,
fun.
we're
Or,
just
or
going to get to that.
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
So
so tell us about your next fundraiser and how people can participate. I'm going to put all the information and links in the show notes as well, but
yes.
please tell them here and what they can do to increase the love and kindness in the world.
Yeah, so with this one, we are doing it through the Caring Project. We are going to feed the homeless at the Hope House here in Georgia, and we are serving Chick-fil-A lunch boxes on Valentine's Day. And we need at least 50 of the lunch boxes to be able to serve the 100 people, and the packages, because each package has two. And if there's extra, they love it because that means they get more. So, of course, they never get tired of Chick-fil-A, like I was mentioning earlier. And so we will definitely post that link for that purchase through Square if you'd like to purchase a package or more. And we also will show the link for chapsticks, because I want to continue giving the chapsticks to the homeless as well, with the message from Our Hearts to Yours, never give up. And I also will have the link in there that you can share with the free website that I created yesterday, just explaining again what Twice the Kindness is all about. And
Yes.
if you have questions, or you're thinking you're in Georgia and you want to do a fundraiser, definitely send me some information. And then once I get the other portion of the business done, that will be a service that I can provide across the US with Twice the Kindness, I will definitely be excited to share that too, through you and through social media as well. I'll be very excited when that gets kicked off, hopefully in April. So yeah, we'll be able to do that. So I appreciate that. If you guys want to purchase the package, that will help feed two more homeless on Valentine's Day. And we're going to make little heart cards that say, Happy Valentine's Day. And I would like to give the chapstick again, and be able, again, it takes a team, and it's all volunteers that come with me to serve the homeless.
I love
So of course, and you'll be able to come serve, and you have to be 18 and over. You have to have an ID, and we're able to serve and just see all the smiles. And it's really heart grabbing though to see the children that do come out. That part you just never fully prepare for, and tears just want to jump out of your eyes. And
I'm sure.
but they really does help, the families. It helps men and women. And they definitely make special events for the children that are there for the month or 2 months. And they make sure that the school bus picks them up first, so none of the other children know that they're there, and homeless. And the school bus drops them off last, so that they, again, don't know that they're homeless and where they're being dropped off at. So I'm so glad that the Hope House has that for the children as well. I'm glad. We need more of these kind of, I know there's more in other states and probably even more here in Georgia, but this kind of structure to help people get back on their feet. We all have to take action as well, and they have to be actively showing that they're trying for themselves as well.
Yeah.
But it's really, and they're so grateful. And I really appreciate it. The Hope House also lets on really cold nights, because here in Georgia, it does dip down below freezing, and they let them come in and have a warming center for even the homeless that are not part of the program. Same thing in this so hot and above a certain temperature, they also bring them in to let them be in air conditioning as well. And a breakfast and some of the lunch is also served to even some of the homeless around there that are not part of the program as well. So it's been really, really special. So each time is a different experience, and each time I have different volunteers helping with me, and I look forward to being able to do it multiple times a month, as well as giving to the cancer centers and to the children's hospital. So, and then the dances that I have planned coming up as well, hopefully will begin in the fall with high schools. So I'll keep you posted. I'm excited.
So exciting. How many packages have you gotten so far that
So
people
far,
have
20, 20.
20?
Yeah, 20. Yes.
So you need
Yeah,
30 more,
30
basically,
more.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's so exciting. And then and during Christmas time, you met your goal.
Yes, Christmas time. Like, and it, they say in the 11th hour, and I was just like,
Yeah.
it was for 2 days. I'm like, okay, and just trusting and being at peace. And then sure enough, I got a big order come in with Brock Built Homes. And I was so excited, because that was like an example. If you're a company and you hear this and you want to be able to buy these 30 packages or 20 packages, again, you'll get a copy of the in-kind letter and then the receipt of what you purchased, and that it was for a nonprofit 501c3. And you're able to have that for tax purposes as well. So I'm glad that, again, and if you're a company and you hear this too, then and you want to come help serve, and you want to be able to do one of the breakfast packages where we only need 25 packages, or a lunch where we only need 50 packages, and you want to come serve and bring your team, it's eye-opening and heart-grabbing. And I would love to join in with you and help, give back kindness and share the smiles and the joy with you. So that would be awesome. If you want to join in, check out the website, and our numbers on there, or email addresses on there, and feel free to give me a call or email me. So yep, I look forward to giving and sharing with you. It's a group effort.
Thank you so much, Christine. I hope people hear this and they contribute in any way they can. If I lived there, I would be there in a heartbeat to
Yes.
uh,
I,
help out and volunteer.
yes. All the yes, that I'm feeding the homeless right now, and then going to the cancer center, and going to the children's hospital,
Yeah.
going to the nursing homes that'll be coming up, and assisted living, doing our dances. Yes, bringing those smiles.
I
Yes.
believe I always talk about this, the butterfly effect, that whatever we do, even though it might seem little, it has this ripple effect of beauty. And you just
It really.
see not just one butterfly, but then two you affect, three, four, five, and then it's just this beautiful
Oh,
array of
yes.
butterflies. And just what you do inspired me to one day go up to a homeless woman and just start talking to her, which I never really done. And it's because of seeing what you're doing and to just help her in whatever way I could. And after knowing her for a couple of weeks, I never saw her again. But I knew I did my part, and you were there to guide me, and that was so helpful. So, what you're doing really is making an impact. So, thank you.
When she's that yarn, and she's going to know, she will think of you. There's going to be something that, just like you said with that chapstick, she'll pick something up, and she'll know that she definitely will think of you. She will. And you did touch her, and she needed you at that time.
Yeah.
And so it really is all of those little steps and pieces that become this beautiful next step, next step, next step, and beautiful art.
Mosaic.
Yeah, mosaic art. It is. I definitely look forward to, being able to help more in California as well, since that's my other home state. And, you know, it's nice still though to have friends and schoolmates, be able to buy packages to help serve over here. That again, it's the love and kindness across the U.S. It's not just from Georgia. It's taking, again, the team effort. And I love that I have family and friends from all over the US that have purchased and helped. And the chapsticks too, that will show that link as well, because I'll keep that going ongoing, because that's a continuous need. So, and I want people So if they want one shipped to them, it will just be $1 more. So they're $2 for a chapstick right now. And if you want it shipped to you because you have someone in mind that you want that message to be shared with, I'll make that link as well. So that way I can then mail it to you. So
Love that.
yeah, yes. Thank you so much, sister. Thank
Thank you
you.
for being here with me. This is beautiful.
Thank you. And thank you all too. Keep, sharing and spreading your heart and your kindness. And, if you're ever in doubt, just dance, sing, be silly, and it'll shift your mood. And give to another. It'll shift your mood.
Yes.